Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to Firewood at the Furnace. You know my name is Brad, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to get into something that we have never done before here in the yard. If you watched last week's shorts video, then you already know that I got my very first load of applewood here at the yard now, and we're going to start to process some of that this evening, and I'm going to give you some of the feedback that I got from some potential smoker wood customers. We'll talk about some of the feedback that you all gave me in the shorts video, and I'll show you how I'm going to be bucking this, splitting it, stacking it, and storing it until it's ready for those customers. So things are going to be a little different. We're going to process this wood just a little bit different than I've ever done before, and I'll talk to you and tell you why I'm going to do it that way coming up. But before we get into that, I want to give you a little tour of the wood yard and show you what's been going on around here, because things are getting a little clogged up again. Not that that's a bad thing. You got to make a mess to produce a product. But I'll show you what's laying here in the yard, and we're going to go get yet another load of oak, I believe it is today, from the tree service. So I'm going to take you along with me on that. We'll check out the tree service job, grab a load of wood, come back, and we'll get this applewood processed. So stick around. So as I told you there in the intro, things are getting a little clogged up front here again. Calls are already coming in for heating wood for this coming fall. This is the earliest that I've ever gotten calls, the amount of calls that I'm getting for heating wood. But I think people are starting to realize they need to order a little earlier before I run out. But check out what is going on here. The yard is getting filled up. This was from a tree service job yesterday that I was working with them on. I've been helping them out a few days here and there on their jobs, but this is mostly cherry. There's a couple sticks of maple and a couple sticks of poplar there. So haven't decided if I'm going to process the poplar yet or not. It looks to be pretty straight, so it's not bad to mix in with some campfire bundles once in a while. But I really am glad I got that load of mostly cherry. This is the load of apple that we're going to start working on this evening. A lot of the limb wood is really good and straight. You can see there some of the bigger stuff gets a little messy looking, but from what I gather from you all, that is the nature of apple wood, like this right here. I'm not going to mess with that little end piece. That is a mess, but we'll cut out whatever we can out of there and probably save the chunks. There is a small load of oak here that I got, all really straight, good looking stuff. There's another load of oak over here. These were the big logs from the crane job that I still haven't gotten to yet. I've been processing this stuff in the back over here. It's bucked up. I've been splitting some of that. A lot of that's going to be ready to go really quick, so that'll be probably this year's wood. And then there's another load of chestnut oak still here on this trailer that I haven't even dumped yet, because I want to make some room before I dump it, to try to keep everything at least close to the splitter over there. What I can't keep close, I'll obviously just have to move with the skid loader. But there's a lot of wood here. It needs processed. The heat of the summer, things do slow down. It takes twice as long to do half the amount of work. But there's nothing wrong with having wood laying here through the winter to keep me going. And this trailer obviously is empty because we're getting ready to go fill that up. So let's hop in the truck. We'll head on over to the tree service job and see what we're bringing home this time. Well, here we are at the job site. For all my supporters, here's my hard hat on at the job. I see some big wood here. It's going to be going to the mill, but I see some really good looking wood that's going to be coming with me. Check it out. There's the tree, tops out, and here comes the bottom right now. We're here just in time. Boom. That was perfect timing. See the big wood up there? I'll be going to the mill, and all this over here will be coming with me. So just give you a look real quick here at this. Actually, they took two big oak trees down, standing dead. You can see the bark falling off of this, but that's a monster tree there. I don't have a tape measure on me to measure it, but you can see how great big diameter logs these are right here. That's a 5-gallon gas can sitting on top. Really big wood. But I'm getting obviously the smaller stuff. This log here, all of this laying over here. There's a couple more scattered around. But I got to get the trailer moved over here right now to the neighbor's driveway where they're going to get me loaded. And once we get the trailer loaded, I'll show you what we end up with. Oh, there it is, all loaded up and strapped down. It's a pretty healthy load. Some really good logs came in on the bottom. Stuff on top's not too bad either. A couple little crotches there on the ends will cut off, but another good load of oak headed to the yard. So we'll get this back, probably leave it on the trailer for now till we make some room, or we get another load of wood coming in. But gonna give it a little bit of time, let the sun start to go down, because it's pretty nasty hot out here again today. And then this evening we'll come back on this video here in just a second, and we'll start processing some apple. All right, so here is the deal. I have reached out to some of my customers, some of my smoker wood customers that I've sold to in the past, and let them know that I received a little bit of apple here in the yard. To get their feedback, to kind of figure out what they would want and how they want it processed. I actually also reached out to a customer, well, it's never been a customer, but a potential customer who had reached out to me a couple months back and said, do you have any apple? Of course, my answer was no at the time. And he said, if you ever get any apple in, please let me know. So I reached out to him as well, and I said, hey, I got a load of apple in. It's the first load of it I've ever received. If and when I process this for you, what would be the criteria that would work for you? I've been told that most of the offset smokers accept pieces up to 12, 14-inch range, and he said that that would be a good length for him, and he would be very happy with that, as well as the other customers. So 12 to 14-inch pieces, split small. Some guys even say they like to burn the apple a little bit wet, a little bit green with some moisture still in it. So the first step in all this process is obviously to get it bucked up and get it split. The way I'm going to do that is we're going to cut some of this right here. I'm not going to cut the whole pile of apple on camera for you tonight in this video, but I will definitely show you a good bit of it. We'll get some pieces bucked up. We'll get it on the Ramsplitter over here. Since it's small, some smaller stuff, we'll get it split. And what my plan is to just put it right into this IBC tote. That way it's kept separate and doesn't get mixed in with anything else. And I know where it is, and I can put a date on it and everything of when it's split. Now, as far as cutting it 12 to 14 inches, I have never ever cut anything less than 16 inches or greater than 16 inches. I have a standard across the board that everything's cut 16 inches, and that has worked out well. But being it's a new venture here, kind of with the apple firewood, apple smoker wood that is, I'm going to be cutting it to 12 to 14 inches. The way that I'm going to achieve that, you all know I use this magnetic stick that sticks to the bar of the chainsaw, and it's measured at 16 inches. So all I did was take a little bit of electrical tape and wrapped it at the 12-inch mark, and that is how I will be gauging the length of the logs. So let's fire up the saw. We'll get some pieces bucked up, loaded on the log lift here, run it through the splitter. I'll give you my thoughts on how it cuts, how it splits, and what I think of it in general. So here we go. let me tell you, that seems extremely weird, cutting rounds this short. This is something I would normally throw off to the side any other time because it's obviously very short. About 12 inches is what I'm cutting it at right now. Obviously more cuts. So people say you can charge a premium for smoker wood, and I think part of the reason is that it's rare that I get this type of wood. But some additional things that I'm thinking about while I was cutting there is that if you have an 8-foot long log, you're making more cuts. Because you're splitting it smaller, you're making more splits, which equals more time. So just some things that I'm learning here along the way as I'm cutting these rounds so short. We'll get the log lift loaded up here. I'm going to cut a few more rounds, fill this log lift up, and then we'll get it split. All right, we've got the log lift loaded up and a few extra rounds there on the ground. Like I said, we're going to use a Ramsplitter today because you can see they're a little bit smaller rounds. No sense in changing out the box wedge on the Eastonmade. We'll run it through the 4-way. Cycle time's obviously slower on this machine, and with the shorter rounds, we're gonna have to try to stop that push stroke on the return so that we don't waste a lot of time on the retract and then trying to get it up to the 12-inch mark to start splitting the next round. But the Ramsplitter is still running. It will be, if you watch the live stream on Thursday this past month, you know that this thing is going to be coming up for sale hopefully sometime in the fall. I talked about it on the live stream, and I am going to be getting another, we'll call it a resplitter with a much faster cycle time. That plan is in the works. Just got to work out the details with the person that I'm getting it from, so stay tuned for news on that. But if you need a splitter, a little bit bigger splitter than the box door with a log lift and the adjustable wedge, this might be for you, so stay tuned. All right, I'll give you some of my initial thoughts here. As far as cutting the applewood, the 500 has a brand new chain on it, and it cut through it like butter. It's maybe a little bit harder of a wood than I would think. I would say it's definitely harder than cherry, but nothing obviously like your oaks or your hard maples or your locusts or anything like that. As far as splitting it goes, the first thing I noticed is the smell. I was really curious as to how this wood was going to smell, and it has a very light, moderate fragrance. I guess you could call it apple. I mean, it smells not like an apple you would eat, but you can smell the hint of apple. But it's a very mild, very light, subtle fragrance that the wood gives off, and it's pleasant. So I'm splitting it a little bit smaller, obviously, and I explained that earlier. It's a little bit stringy, not too bad. You kind of got to tear it apart for the last little bit when the splitter runs through it, but it tears off pretty easy. And I've got this little bit here that I'm going to stack in the IBC tote real quick, and then I will speed you up, finish splitting this little bit that we have on the log lift, and then I will tell you anything else I come across as far as this apple goes. But I'm going to, like I said, stack it in this IBC tote on its own. I feel like I'm dealing with little baby wood here. I mean, this is small stuff, but this is what the people who I reached out to said that they would have liked. And actually some of you on the shorts video actually commented the same thing about 12 inches in length. So that's what I'm doing. I won't get to the rest of this load of apple this evening, so when you all see this video, if I'm doing something wrong or if you have other ideas or if you agree with the way I'm doing this, let me know, because this is all new. But I'll finish stacking this in this IBC tote. We'll get the rest of this apple split up and see what it looks like. Well, there we go. Not too bad, just for a couple minutes of cutting and a couple minutes of splitting to get a little bit of apple smoker wood here. I think some lessons that come out of this video will be, you know, if you have something new that you want to try or something new to you that you've never done before, and you have a customer base or you have some people who might have knowledge of what you're trying to do, go ahead and reach out to them and, you know, get their input, get their feedback, kind of like we do with the comments on these videos through YouTube. But try to get in touch with the people who you want to market this product to, which is what I did here, which is the reason why I'm cutting everything 12 inches and splitting small. A little out of my comfort zone, nothing that I've ever done before, but I don't think it looks too bad, and I think it looks exactly like it's supposed to look for somebody with an offset smoker or someone who wants to cook with apple wood. So that's going to be it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tell all your friends about the channel. We come to you every Wednesday morning at 7 a.m. So until next time, I hope you all have a great week.